Hi everyone, and happy Metro Tunnel opening day. In this video, I am going to document my experience at every news station I visited today on November 30th, 2025, the opening date of the Metro Tunnel. Before we begin, I would like to remind you of our subscriber race with Tuvalu. I'm trying to overtake the country of Tuvalu in subscribers by the end of the year, so subscribing would help me out a lot. I began the day by making my way over to Footscray. The first train through the tunnel was scheduled to pass through Footscray at 10:04 a.m. At Footscray Station, they handed out these Metro Tunnel flags and were also operating a coffee stand out of this van. I was really excited to get on the first train through the Metro Tunnel, but unfortunately, this train was full. Like, really full from all the people who would previously have gotten on at Sunbury and the other stations along the way.
Train. Do not attempt to board this train. This train is full. Stand clear.
It was quite disappointing, but I had to wait another 20 minutes for the next one at 10:24. As soon as the train left, it started raining. Really just had to set the mood. In the future, with projects like these, I will definitely make sure to get on the train as early as possible. After this second train arrived, I was able to be a part of the second group of people to ever go through the metro tunnel. The train went through the tunnel at 80 kilometers per hour, first stopping at Arden, then Parkville, followed by State Library, Town Hall, and then the final station, Anzac, before continuing south towards East Pakenham. After traveling past all the new stations, I decided to get off at Anzac. The platforms were absolutely packed with people, as you would expect. Most people got off here. After heading up the escalators, I made my way into the concourse. Here they were handing out Metro Tunnel themed biscuits and lollipops. After trying them, I can say these are some of the blandest things that I have ever tasted, but it's the thought that counts. Interestingly, I noticed Anzac had a 7-Eleven, and this wasn't even the only station that had a 7-Eleven. The main purpose of the station was for an interchange with trams, and I must say it does that job absolutely perfectly. You just head up the stairs and boom, there's the trams. There are a few tram changes that were supposed to happen following the tunnel's opening, but as it turns out, none of those things are actually happening, because of course they aren't. After visiting Anzac, my next stop was Town Hall. This was the station I was probably most excited to see simply because I hadn't been on a tour there, unlike a few of the other stations, and it's kind of been surrounded by this giant box for quite a while, and I just didn't really know what the area would look like. After making my way over there, it was kind of interesting. It reminded me a lot of Gadigal Station in Sydney, which has a kind of similar design where it's just this giant room that is like a huge rectangle with nothing much in it. It was surprisingly small. The platforms here were noticeably smaller than the other stations, which is strange because this station has a direct connection to Flinders Street. Unfortunately, I did not walk that connection to Flinders, and that is totally my fault. I literally just forgot. You will definitely see what the connection looks like at Melbourne Central, though. I'll have to check out the Flinders Street one at a later date. The giant area outside what used to be City Square was honestly very underwhelming. It's just a giant slab of concrete with a few plant pots on the side. I don't really think anyone is ever going to use this area for anything. It really just feels like it's kind of there. Like a budget version of Fed Square, I guess. Town Hall also didn't have any shops, which I found kind of strange, considering most of the stations had some kind of place to buy food, but I didn't see any here. Maybe there would have been some on the way to Flinders. I went back down to wait for the next train, but unfortunately, there was a pretty substantial delay. I'm sure a lot of news outlets are going to jump on this opportunity, but the reality is, stuff like this is very common on opening day when things are still being sorted out, and there's also a lot of traffic during a time that normally would not see this many people in the station. Apparently, this delay was due to a police request in the Anzac station area, but I don't know, that's just what I heard from people. It might be completely wrong. I decided to cut my losses and take the tram to the station I was most interested in checking next, Parkville. So I went to Elizabeth Street and hopped on the Route 19. While the exterior of Parkville Station is by far the most lacking, In fact, it was so uninteresting that I literally forgot to take a picture of it. This is from Google Maps. The interior is a lot better, however. They have this interesting tiled artwork above the second 7-Eleven of this video, and this station also has a surprising number of shops, including the best Melbourne sushi chain. Any comment that disagrees with me will be deleted, and also an under construction KFC and Macca's. It's really great to see the Victorian government supporting small businesses like these. The side of the station was decorated with these strange ellipses. I don't know how I feel about this design choice, but it's certainly interesting. From here, I had two more stations to check out. First, I hopped on the train one stop back to Arden. This is the station with the big arch that you're probably quite familiar with since it's been on a lot of Metro Tunnel branding. And I do agree, this is probably my favorite entrance to any of the stations. I had already visited this one a few months prior, and so I'm using a lot of footage from then. Trust me, there isn't much of a difference. The station had already been completed at that point. Only major difference I noticed was that they had put in the vending machines finally. This station will most likely end up being quite underused for a long time. There just isn't really much in this area, and also isn't any opportunity for interchanges with other forms of transport. This is probably as busy as it'll ever get. My train out of Arden was once again delayed, this time about 10 minutes late. I have no clue what caused this one, honestly. I boarded the train and headed to State Library. This was the second station that I had already visited, on a tour a few weeks ago. Since then, they had finished the paint job, and also I could finally access the connection to Melbourne Central, and take what the media has dubbed the world's first pedestrian tollway. Today, due to the tunnel's opening, it was free travel across all public transport, however, so I didn't actually have to pay. It's also completely free if you have already just come from the train, since you had already taken a trip anyway. If you tap on at these Mikey readers and then tap off on the ones on the other side of Melbourne Central, it will count it as a trip because both State Library and Melbourne Central are considered different stations, and it thinks you're traveling from one station to another, even though it's literally just walking 20 meters. I also decided to finally check out Exit 2, which had been blocked last time I visited on the tour. I know it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I do definitely like the entrance to this station, and I think the art on the sides definitely makes it feel a lot better than if it was just a giant concrete structure. And with that said, that was my brief overview of my day one checking out all of the new Metro Tunnel stations. This is my first time making an entire video in one day, and oh my god, this is tiring. I'd like to give a huge shout out to everyone who recognized me today, as well as all of my channel members, and I will see you in the next one.